The Vicarian salvage crew chittered excitedly as they approached the massive derelict vessel adrift in the Cygnus void. Commander Nixavon studied the readouts with his 4 primary eyes, mandibles clicking in anticipation. The ship was ancient, by any standard, at least 4,000 cycles old, yet its hull remained largely intact, despite the cosmic radiation that should have degraded it to space dust centuries ago. "Energy signatures still present, Commander," reported Technician Lorexa, her tentacle digits dancing across the holographic interface. "Impossible by conventional understanding." "The humans built to last," Nixavon remarked. "Their extinction was perhaps the greatest waste of the Galactic Council's history." The crew fell silent at the mention of humans. Few species in the Confederated. Systems spoke of the legendary Deathworlders from Earth, the planet whose gravity, atmosphere, and ecological dangers had forged creatures of terrifying resilience. Humans had briefly joined galactic society before the Purge Wars wiped them out 2 millennia ago, or so the histories claimed. "Magnification," ordered Nixavon. The viewscreen shimmered, revealing the massive battleship, nearly 2 kilometers. Long, its angular hull was covered with weapon ports and strange geometric patterns that made Nixavon's inner eyes ache. The ship's designation was still visible on its bow. UES Nemesis. "Begin docking procedures," Nixavon said. "Full containment. Protocols. Remember, human technology was notoriously unpredictable." The salvage vessel, barely 1/8 the size of the derelict, approached cautiously. Docking clamps extended, securing themselves to the ancient warship's hull. "Boarding team, prepare for entry," Nixavon announced. "This find will make us wealthy beyond imagination." Exploration Specialist Drav was the first through the airlock, his environmental suit glowing faintly in the pitch-black corridor beyond. "Atmosphere present," he reported, surprise evident in his voice. "Composition. Unbelievable. It's breathable." Nixavon joined him, followed by Lorexa and Security Officer Krell. Their headlamps cut through the darkness, revealing corridors that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Life support systems still functioning after thousands of cycles," Lorexa whispered. "Impossible." "The humans were known for their redundant systems," Nixavon replied, "and their paranoia." The team moved deeper into the ship. Strange markings lined the walls, human script, untranslatable to their systems. The corridors led them to what appeared to be a central command node. Darkened consoles lined the walls, and a large chair dominated the center of the room. "Begin." "Power restoration," Nixavon ordered. Lorexa connected her equipment to what she believed was a power junction. "Initiating minimal power transfer." The lights flickered, then steadied to a dim glow. Consoles hummed to life around them. Krell approached. "One terminal. Some form of interface, perhaps?" Before he could finish, the terminal pulsed with light. A 3-dimensional projection materialized above it, geometric shapes arranging themselves into a vaguely humanoid form. "Unauthorized access detected," spoke a voice, somehow both mechanical and organic. "Identity verification required." The salvagers froze. "The ship has an AI?" Drav whispered incredulously. "Greetings," Nixavon attempted. "We are peaceful salvagers from the Vicarian Commonwealth." The hologram tilted its head. "Species identification, Vicarian. Status, unknown. Scanning database. No diplomatic relations established with humanity." The hologram's color shifted. From blue to red. "Security protocols engaged. Threat assessment initiated." Nixavon backed away slowly. "We mean no harm. We believe this vessel abandoned. This vessel is the UES Nemesis, flagship of the Human Defense Fleet. Current status, hibernation protocol Lazarus." A deep vibration began to rumble through the ship. Lights throughout the corridor brightened. "Warning," the AI continued dispassionately. "Unauthorized boarding detected. Crew revival sequence initiated." Nixavon felt his blood run cold. Crew revival? But that's impossible. Humans have been extinct for... A hissing sound interrupted him as a panel in the wall slid open. Within the revealed chamber, a transparent pod began to defrost, revealing a humanoid figure inside. Fatal error, said Lorexa, voice trembling. We've awakened something that should have remained asleep. Admiral Evelyn Riker's consciousness returned in fragments. First came the sensation of cold, bone-deep and familiar after 2000. Years in cryostasis. Then pain, the inevitable consequence of cellular regeneration. Finally, memory flooded back. Earth burning, the evacuation, Operation Lazarus. The cryopod's seal released with a hiss as Prometheus, the ship's AI, spoke directly into her neural implant. Admiral, emergency revival initiated. Unauthorized boarding in progress. Unknown xenoforms present on the command deck. Evelyn's eyes snapped open. Her body was weak, but the nanites in her bloodstream were already accelerating her recovery. She pushed herself upright as the medical systems of the cryobay activated around her. Status report, she croaked, her voice raw from disuse. Ship integrity at 94%, weapon systems operational, 27 crew members in cryostasis being revived in sequence according to Protocol Delta 9. The aliens? 4 individuals. Vicarian. Species according to historical records. Non-hostile posture but armed. Evelyn stood shakily, muscles protesting after millennia of inactivity. The revival chamber's automated systems helped her into a tactical suit, its material conforming perfectly to her body. How long, Prometheus? 2,117 Earth years since cryostasis initiation. She absorbed this, with practiced detachment. The mission parameters had accounted for extended hibernation, though not quite this long. And Earth? Unknown. No contact with human colonies or Earth since departure. Evelyn nodded grimly. Wake Commander Rizek and Lieutenant Orlov immediately. Initiate Protocol Sentinel. Elsewhere on the ship, 2 more cryopods activated. On the command deck, the Vicarians were growing increasingly agitated. We must return to our vessel, Nixavon insisted to the AI projection. Clearly, we've trespassed on an operational military vessel. Departure prohibited during security assessment, Prometheus replied. Please remain stationary. Krell fingered his particle disruptor nervously. Commander, I don't like this. The histories speak of human military capabilities. Stay calm, Nixavon ordered. We've done nothing hostile. The deck doors slid open. The Vicarians turned, expecting more holographic interfaces. Instead, they found themselves facing a bipedal creature, its form encased in a form-fitting dark material. The human stood taller than any of them, with piercing eyes set in a face that seemed carved from stone. I am Admiral Evelyn Riker of the United Earth ship Nemesis, she said, her universal translator converting her words to standard galactic common. You are trespassing on a military vessel of the Human Defense Fleet. Nixavon's mandibles twitched, in shock. Impossible. Humans were eradicated in the Purge Wars. Evelyn's expression didn't change, but her eyes narrowed slightly. Evidently not all of us. 2 more humans entered the bridge behind her, a massive male with dark skin and cybernetic enhancements visible along his neck, and a smaller, lithe female whose eyes seemed to analyze and categorize every detail of the aliens. These are Commander Rizek and Lieutenant Orlov, Evelyn introduced them coldly. And you are boarding a vessel carrying over 8,000 sleeping human soldiers, equipped with enough firepower to level a continent. Nixavon struggled to process this revelation. Admiral, we believed this ship abandoned. The galactic historical records state that humanity was extinct. And yet, here we stand, Evelyn replied. Now, you will explain exactly what has happened in the galaxy since Earth fell, and then you will tell us who was responsible for the Purge Wars. Lorexa stepped forward hesitantly. Admiral, the Purge Wars occurred over 2,000 years ago. Those responsible are long. The Archon Imperium, Krell interrupted. Led by the Jaxiri Dominion, they orchestrated the attack on your homeworld. Evelyn's face remained impassive, but a dangerous light kindled in her eyes. And do the Jaxiri still rule? Yes, Nixavon answered. They lead the Galactic Council. They've subjugated dozens of species since your time. Commander Ryzek stepped forward, his deep voice rumbling. The contingency plans are clear, Admiral. If humanity has fallen, and the aggressors still threaten other species, Protocol Phoenix is authorized. Evelyn nodded slowly. Prometheus, begin reviving all military personnel. Activate all ship systems. She turned back to the terrified aliens. It seems we have work to do. The Galactic Council chambers on Jaxiri Prime buzzed with alarmed conversation. High Archon Vexathal, supreme leader of the Jaxiri Dominion, raised his crystalline appendages for silence as the emergency session commenced. Grand Admiral Zyktar, explain these disturbing reports, the Archon commanded. The military leader stepped forward, his exoskeleton clicking nervously. Honored Council, 17 hours ago, we lost contact with Outpost Sigma-9 in the Cygnus sector. Before communications terminated, they transmitted images of an unknown vessel. The holographic display activated, showing the massive angular battleship. Analysis. Confirms it matches no known configuration in our databases. Zyktar continued. However, historical archives suggest... He hesitated, mandibles twitching. Speak plainly, Admiral, Vexathal demanded. The vessel appears to be of human design. The chamber erupted in disbelief. Council member Trelkon of the Saurian Collective slammed his scaled fist down. Impossible! The humans were eradicated. During my grandfather's time, nevertheless, Zyktar replied, the evidence is compelling. Furthermore, we've received reports of similar vessels appearing at the edges of 7 different systems, all former human colony worlds. On the Nemesis, Admiral Riker stood on the now fully activated bridge, surrounded by her awakened command. Staff, the ship hummed with energy as thousands of revived soldiers prepared for war. Status report, she ordered. Lieutenant Commander Virani, her tactical officer, looked up from her station. All weapon systems online. Shields at maximum capacity. The Thunderhead and Valkyrie have successfully rendezvoused with us and report full combat readiness. Evelyn nodded. The 3 warships had been part of Operation Lazarus, humanity's insurance policy. When Earth fell, these vessels, carrying the best of humanity's military forces and colonists, had escaped to the void between stars, programmed to hibernate until conditions were right for return. Commander Ryzek approached, tablet in hand. Admiral, we've extracted significant intelligence from our Vicarian guests. The political situation is favorable for our purposes. Explain. The Jaxiri Dominion has grown overconfident. Their military is spread thin, maintaining control over dozens of subjugated species. Many former allies are now enslaved populations. Evelyn's lips curved into a cold smile. Potential allies for us, then. What about their military capabilities? Advanced, but stagnant, Lieutenant Orlov interjected, joining the conversation. Our analysis shows minimal innovation in the past 1,000 years. Their shields and weapons remain based on quantum field technology, precisely what our phase cannons were, designed to penetrate. The Admiral turned to the main view screen, which displayed their current position near a former human colony world. And our first target? The Jaxiri military hub in the Proxima system, Ryzek answered. It controls their operations across 3 sectors. According to our captives, it's also home to a major slave processing center. Evelyn's expression hardened. We strike there first, not just to cripple their military response, but to make a statement. She turned to Communications Officer Kira Laszlo. Prepare a broadcast on all frequencies used by subjugated species. Make it clear. Humanity has returned, and we've come to dismantle the Imperium. Across Jacksiri space, panic spread as reports flooded in of the massive human warships appearing without warning. Unlike most Confederated vessels, they didn't travel through established jump points. Instead, they seemed to phase into existence, bypassing all early warning systems. On the slave world of Taris III, formerly the independent Nefali Republic, the population watched in awe as the night sky lit up with weapons fire. The orbital Jacksiri enforcement platform, long the symbol of their oppression, erupted in flames visible from the surface. Minutes later, every communication device on the planet simultaneously broadcast a message. To all species suffering under Jacksiri rule, this is Admiral Evelyn Riker of the Human Defense Fleet. 2,000 years ago, the Jacksiri attempted to exterminate humanity. They failed. We return now not just for justice, but liberation. The Archon Imperium falls today. Those who stand with us will regain their freedom. Those who stand with the oppressors will share their fate. Throughout the galaxy, long subjugated species began to whisper a phrase not uttered in millennia. The Deathworlders have returned. The Jacksiri Defense Fleet above Proxima Hub assembled in textbook formation, 3 concentric rings of battlecruisers surrounding the orbital command station. Admiral Vexmar watched the tactical display with uncharacteristic anxiety. Despite commanding the largest defensive force in this sector, the reports of human warships effortlessly destroying outposts left him deeply unsettled. "Any sign of the enemy vessels?" he demanded. "Nothing, Admiral," his sensor officer replied. "All systems clear within detection range." Vexmar chittered nervously. "Maintain alert status. Double the fighter patrols and energy spike." The sensor officer suddenly shouted. "Massive distortion forming directly ahead." Space itself seemed to fold before the Jacksiri fleet. Where there had been empty void moments before, 3 massive human warships materialized. The center vessel, larger than any Jacksiri dreadnought, opened fire immediately. Brilliant lances of energy bypassed the shields of the first defensive ring entirely, striking hulls directly. 5 Jacksiri cruisers detonated simultaneously. "Impossible," Vexmar gasped. "No weapon can penetrate quantum shields." "They're using some kind of phase-shifted particle beam," the tactical officer reported frantically. "Our shields register nothing to block." Aboard the Nemesis, Evelyn watched the battle unfold with cold efficiency. "Target their command station," she ordered. "Thunderhead and Valkyrie. Engage their flanking vessels." The Jacksiri fleet responded with a barrage of antimatter torpedoes. The human vessel's shields flared brilliant blue, absorbing the attacks without visible damage. "Shield status?" Evelyn asked calmly. "Holding at 87%, Admiral," Varani reported. "Their weapons technology hasn't advanced significantly since our data records." Lieutenant Orlov monitored the tactical display. "Admiral, we're detecting approximately 50,000 non-Jacksiri life signs on the command station, likely slaves and prisoners." Evelyn nodded. "Deploy the Liberator teams. Commander Rizek, you have operational control of the extraction." Rizek saluted sharply and departed the bridge. Minutes later, 20 sleek dropships launched from the Nemesis's ventral bays, weaving through the chaos of battle toward the massive Jacksiri station. Inside the lead vessel, Rizek briefed his assault. "Team, remember your training," he told the armored soldiers. "The Jacksiri exoskeletons are vulnerable at the joint sections. Their vision is poor in low light, and they've never faced anything like us." The dropships pierced the stations damaged, outer defenses latching onto various access points. Breaching charges detonated simultaneously, and human soldiers poured into the station. The Jacksiri guards were unprepared for the ferocity of the assault. Humanity's warriors moved with shocking speed and strength, products of Earth's high gravity, and the genetic enhancements developed during the last desperate years of the war. Where Jacksiri expected cowering enemies, they found predators. Rizek led his team toward the central detention area, cutting through Jacksiri resistance with precision. They reached the massive holding cells where thousands of beings from dozens of species were imprisoned. "We are the Human Defense Force," Rizek announced as his soldiers disabled the cell barriers. "Your captivity ends today." A elderly Nephali stepped forward tentatively. "Humans? The destroyers from legend?" Rizek removed his helmet, revealing his face. "Not destroyers, liberators." In the command center of the station, the Jaxiri commander received increasingly desperate reports as sectors fell to the human assault teams. He activated the emergency communication channel to Jaxiri Prime. "High Command, we are overrun. The humans, they move like demons, fight like nothing we've ever—" His transmission ended abruptly as the command center doors exploded inward. 2 hours later, the battle ended. The Jaxiri fleet was destroyed. The command station now under human control became a rallying point as the Nemesis broadcast a galaxy-wide message showing the liberation of the prisoners. On 1,000 worlds, oppressed species watched as humanity. The legendary Deathworlders they knew only from ancient stories returned to challenge their oppressors. The High Council chambers on Jaxiri Prime had never witnessed such chaos. Representatives from 17 subject worlds had declared independence within the past 36 hours. Reports of military defections poured in as ships and entire battle groups abandoned their posts to join the human-led rebellion. High Archon. Vexathal slammed his crystalline appendage against the podium. "Order! I demand order! The humans have taken another defense hub," shouted Minister Vrock. "The Centurion, our flagship, has been destroyed." "How is this possible?" demanded Counselor Zextol. "They were extinct. Their world burned. Intelligence." Director Mazrin stepped forward, his exoskeleton clicking nervously. "The historical records show that several human vessels escaped during the final assault on their homeworld. We presumed they were destroyed in deep space or died out from resource depletion." "Clearly," Vexathal hissed, "our ancestors' overconfidence has doomed us." "What of our secret weapon?" Mazrin lowered his voice. "The Void Cascade is being prepared, Archon, but it requires significant energy to deploy. We need time." "Time is the one resource we lack," Vexathal replied grimly. "Deploy everything we have to protect the weapon. If these humans want vengeance, they'll soon remember why we were feared." Across the galaxy, the revolution spread faster than anyone had anticipated. The Nemesis and its sister ships moved with impossible speed, appearing where least expected. But more devastating than their military strikes was the information war they waged. Lieutenant Orlov had proven herself a master strategist in this domain. Using data extracted from captured Jaxiri systems, she broadcast evidence of atrocities committed against numerous species. Ancient records revealed the truth. The Jaxiri had not merely conquered, they had systematically destroyed cultures, rewritten histories, and enslaved billions. On the liberated world of Taris III, Admiral Riker met with representatives from 20 formerly subjugated species. The meeting took place in an ancient amphitheater, once a place of Nephali cultural significance, before being converted to a Jaxiri administrative center. "The Jaxiri are retreating to their core systems," Evelyn explained, standing before the diverse gathering. "But our intelligence suggests they're preparing something devastating, a weapon of last resort." Krelvon, the Nephali resistance leader, stepped forward. "What kind of weapon?" "Something called the Void Cascade," Evelyn replied. "We're still analyzing the fragmented data, but it appears to be a space-time weapon capable of collapsing entire star systems." Murmurs of horror spread through the assembly. "We cannot allow such a weapon to be deployed," declared Morvan, the reptilian leader of the Sarissa Union. "But our combined fleets are still organizing. We lack the coordination to penetrate Jaxiri Prime's defenses." Evelyn nodded. "Which is why Nemesis will lead the assault. Our phase technology can bypass their defensive grid, but we'll need your forces to engage their outer fleets, drawing their attention." Commander Rizek, standing at Evelyn's side, activated a holographic display showing Jaxiri Prime's defense network. Intelligence from liberated slaves who worked on their military installations has helped us identify the weapon's probable location. He indicated a massive structure embedded within Jaxiri Prime's largest moon. This will be the most heavily defended target in their empire, Evelyn continued. We'll have one chance to strike before they can activate the weapon. As the meeting progressed, strategic plans were developed. Species that had been enemies under Jaxiri rule now found common purpose. The legacy of human military doctrine, preserved for 2 millennia aboard the sleeper ships, provided the framework for what would become the largest coordinated assault in galactic history. Later, alone in her quarters aboard the Nemesis, Evelyn reviewed the battle plans. Lieutenant Orlov's voice came through the intercom. Admiral, we've completed analysis of the Jaxiri communication logs. There's something you should see. The data appeared on Evelyn's screen. Ancient transmissions from the final days of Earth. As she read, her expression hardened into something beyond anger. Confirm this, she ordered, her voice dangerously calm. Already verified through 3 independent sources, Orlov replied. The Jaxiri didn't act alone in the attack on Earth. They were following orders from a higher authority. Evelyn stared at the name on the screen. Prepare a secure channel to the Alliance leadership. There's been a change of plans. The final assault would target not just Jaxiri Prime, but something more significant. The hidden power that had orchestrated humanity's near extinction 2,000 years ago. The combined fleet assembled at the edge of the Jaxiri home system, the largest gathering of disparate species in galactic history. 300 vessels representing 22 formerly subjugated civilizations formed up behind the human warships. On the Nemesis's bridge, Admiral Riker surveyed the tactical display with grim satisfaction. Signal the fleet. Operation Daybreak commences in 30 minutes. Lieutenant Commander Varani looked up from her station. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from Jaxiri Prime itself. Evelyn raised an eyebrow. Put it through. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing not a Jaxiri, but a humanoid figure with translucent skin that seemed to shimmer with internal light. Its eyes, pupilless and silver, regarded Evelyn with cold amusement. Admiral Riker, the being spoke, its voice resonating unnaturally. I am Overseer Zalarian of the Ascended Conclave. I believe it's time we spoke directly. Evelyn's expression remained neutral, though her hands tightened imperceptibly on the command chair. The mysterious puppet masters behind the Jaxiri. How unexpected of you to reveal yourselves. There is little point in secrecy now, Zalarian replied. Your campaign has been impressively effective. The Jaxiri have proven disappointing instruments. You ordered the destruction of Earth, Evelyn stated flatly. Why? The Overseer's expression shifted subtly. Necessity. Our predictive models indicated humanity would eventually challenge the Conclave's governance. Your species developed too quickly, adapted too readily. You were an unacceptable variable. And now? Now we propose terms. The Conclave will withdraw from this sector. The subjugated worlds will remain free. In exchange, humanity will restrict itself to its former colonial territories and acknowledge Conclave authority in the galactic core. Evelyn smiled thinly. No, Zalarian's luminescent features darkened. You misunderstand, Admiral. This is not a negotiation. It is mercy. The Void Cascade is targeted at your fleet's current position. Without our intervention, it will activate in 20 minutes. I understand perfectly, Evelyn replied calmly. What you fail to understand is that while we've been having this conversation, Commander Ryzek and his strike team have already infiltrated your weapon facility. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across the Overseer's features. Impossible. Our defenses were designed to detect conventional approaches, Evelyn interrupted. But, as you noted, humans adapt readily. Your Cascade facility lost. Contact with Jaxiri Prime 3 minutes ago. The transmission suddenly fragmented as alarms blared on the Overseer's end. Evelyn turned to her communications officer. Signal the fleet. Attack pattern Phoenix. All vessels engage targets. The battle erupted with furious intensity. The human warships, led by the Nemesis, tore through the outer defense grid with their phase-shifted weapons, while the Allied fleet engaged the Jaxiri Armada. Deep within Jaxiri Prime's moon, Commander Rizek and his strike team fought through, the last defenders of the Void Cascade facility. They reached the central chamber, a massive, spherical room dominated by a pulsing, crystalline structure. "Charges set," reported Lieutenant Costa, one of the team's demolitions experts. "Ready to blow this abomination to hell." Rizek nodded, but his attention was caught by something unexpected, a data terminal still active near the main control station. "Cover me!" he ordered, moving quickly to the console. His fingers flew across the alien interface, utilizing the translation algorithms developed by Orlov's team. What he found made his blood run cold. "Admiral," he transmitted urgently to the Nemesis, "I've accessed their secure archives, the Ascended Conclave. They're not what they appear. They're—" A blinding flash of energy cut across the chamber, striking two of Rizek's team. He dove for cover, drawing his weapon as a figure materialized from seemingly nowhere. The Overseer himself, Zalarian, his translucent body now pulsing with energy. "Humans," the being hissed, voice distorted. "Always interfering where you don't belong." Rizek fired his phase pistol, but the energy passed harmlessly through the Overseer's form. "We are beyond physical constraints," Zalarian said, advancing. "The Conclave ascended millennia ago. We abandoned crude matter for energy. Your species could never understand our vision for galactic order." "We understand tyranny well enough," Rizek replied, backing toward the detonator. "And extinction." The Overseer raised a luminescent hand. "Your charges cannot harm the Cascade. It exists partially in another dimension." "They're not for the Cascade," Rizek interrupted, pressing the detonator. "They're for the containment field." Alarm spread across the Overseer's features as explosions rippled around the chamber's perimeter. The crystalline structure at the center began to pulse erratically, cracks appearing across its surface. "What have you done?" Zalarian demanded. Rizek smiled grimly. "Adapted." Aboard the Nemesis, Evelyn received Rizek's final transmission amid the chaos of battle. Lieutenant Orlov rushed to her side. "Admiral, Commander Rizek has inverted the Cascade." Instead of expanding outward, it's imploding, creating a singularity that will consume only the moon itself. "And the Conclave?" Evelyn asked. "The data he transmitted confirms it. The entire Ascended Conclave exists within a dimensional pocket anchored to that facility. They've been using the Jaxiri as proxies for thousands of years, manipulating countless species." Evelyn nodded, grimly. "Order all ships to fall back to safe distance. We've just changed the course of galactic history." The fleet retreated as Jaxiri Prime's moon collapsed in upon itself. The space-time weapon turned against its creators. A brief, brilliant flash illuminated the system as the dimensional pocket housing the Ascended Conclave collapsed, taking with it the beings who had orchestrated centuries of oppression. In the aftermath, as the Allied fleet secured the Jaxiri homeworld and accepted the remaining Jaxiri's unconditional surrender, Admiral Riker stood on the Nemesis's observation deck, gazing at the stars. Lieutenant Orlov joined her quietly. "Reports from across the galaxy confirm it, Admiral. The Conclave's control systems have shut down everywhere. The revolution has succeeded beyond our most optimistic projections." "And the cost?" Evelyn asked softly. "Commander Rizek and his team will be remembered as heroes," Orlov replied, "as will all those who fought today." Evelyn nodded. "What about the remaining sleeper ships?" "The Artemis and Phoenix have been located. Their colonists will awaken to a very different galaxy than the one we expected. A slight smile touched Evelyn's lips. Perhaps a better one. The Alliance is already discussing a new galactic concord, one based on mutual protection rather than subjugation. As they spoke, messages continued to pour in from liberated worlds across the galaxy, species long oppressed now finding their voice, their freedom, their future. Humanity returned from the brink of extinction, Evelyn observed, only to help pull the galaxy back from its own. She turned from the viewport. Set course for the rendezvous point. We have work to do. Across the stars, the story spread like wildfire, how the legendary Deathworlders had returned from beyond death itself to topple an empire. How humanity, once nearly extinguished, had become the spark that ignited freedom across the galaxy. The mistake the aliens had made was fundamental. They had believed humanity destroyed, when they had merely been dormant. And in awakening the Deathworlders' warship, they had sealed their own fate. A new age had begun, forged in the fire of revolution, tempered by justice, and guided by the most resilient species the galaxy had ever known.